What's up, people? Happy weekend. I hope everybody out there is having a great weekend. Welcome to another edition of the Man Cave Show. I am your Man Cave host, Spry. And this show, of course, was created to empower men through relevant topics, diverse voices, and intellectual dialogue. And as you know, we always come and we try to touch on issues as us as men that we're facing on a day-to-day basis. And we know men, we don't like to talk, we don't like to discuss, we like to stay in our corner and beat ourselves. But I think in this day and time, as the culture has totally shifted, men need to rise up and talk and speak about where they are and the issues that they're having. So I've been brave enough to be the one to just kind of initiate the conversation. And so today we have a great show in mind. Listen, check us out on Facebook Live, and you can also check us out on the Your Partner app. Go to your app store, download Your Partner at your app store, and you can tune in every other Saturday at 5 p.m. to the Man Cave. I guarantee you'll enjoy the conversation, the dialogue. My co-hosts are always dope, always bringing guys who have a great perspective on where we are as men. So listen, we got a great show today. I got only one co-host today. Sometimes all you need is just one to have a dope conversation. I got my boy Matthew. Matthew, what's your last name, Matthew?
Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson,
yes,
all the
sir.
way from Cleveland, Ohio. Matt has relocated to the South Florida area. He's down here doing his thing. Very active guy in the community as well as in the church area. He has great things going for himself, and I'll let him introduce himself. Matt, let the people know what you got going on, what you're doing. Let them know what's up, what's going on with you.
All right, my name is Matt Johnson, born and raised Cleveland, Ohio. Took a leap of faith, moved down to Florida last year, 2017, April 2017. Everything happened literally in 3-4 weeks. Once God solidified the job, I bounced, and it was all she wrote from there, man. But Spry know some of the stuff I had to endure, man. Last year was hard. But God has been good. But, I came out here single, no kids, so it was easy to make the move, so thank God it was just me. But I work for the Cleveland Clinic full-time in the mental health field. But at the Cleveland Clinic, I'm on the business side of things like insurance. I handle people's insurance, demographics, getting them appointments, making sure the stuff get paid for. But outside of that, I'm in the mental health field, just trying to bring that to the church because they still think it's a joke.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Really. So, Matt, you got this, we talked about it just the other day. You got this journaling initiative that's going. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so one of the things Pastor Spry just said, when he opened up, is that men keep things in so much. And actually, most humans do. It's called internalizing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what that means is whatever you're going through, whatever you're experiencing, people don't like to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And, as Christians, sometimes they say, just take it to the Lord in prayer. Right. But most of the time, man, you're not going to hear nothing if you're already angry based off of what happened, you hurt. So journaling provides that outlet for you to clear your mind, because you can't always have somebody to talk to. Even people you love that say, hey, I'm the ear you need to listen to. We all facing our own battles. Right. And I don't want to dump my issues on you, but I still need a release. Right. So journaling, that's what it provides. You don't have to hold back. If you feel like cussing somebody out, you write that. Mm-hmm. All weird, odd, ugly thoughts that you have that you may not even share with those that you trust. Right. That's what journaling does for you, man. It kind of purges, and it may not change the situation, but guess what? It'll allow you to see things in a different perspective. Because you know that old saying that say, if you can't change what you're looking at, change how you look at it.
Definitely.
So that's what my journaling is all about, and I'm all about the mental health field. You have to take care of your mind and your emotions, because everything you do in life flows from that point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. You definitely don't hear about journaling as it relates to us as men, because we may look at it in a way where it's more so geared toward women. And so how would you encourage men to actually journal, jot down those internal thoughts that they're dealing with?
So we already have a problem with opening up to each other.
Right.
Even if you're my best friend for 15, 20 years, I'm only going to go so far with you with because if we leave ourselves vulnerable, it's like, oh man, I let them into this part.
Right.
So knowing that you have the proclivity towards spazzing out on people, as they say, you know, in some tense situation, everybody been there where you go through so much, you keep so much in, and it'd be that one person, you know, men being fathers, you know, you're spazzing out on your kids and they just doing what kids do, you know, your spouse or your parents, your sisters, and your brothers. So to be a better father, a better brother, a better son, a better preacher, a better mentor, you have to have that outlet yourself, because already being a man, everybody bringing you their problems.
Right.
So, you know, you don't always want to dump on people. So journaling in your time, your personal time, start just jotting down. I call it uncensored writing.
Okay.
Only you gonna read it,
Right.
and you lock it up, because I'm sure you probably gonna be saying some stuff in there that you don't want nobody to read.
Right.
So as men, you just got to be blunt. I can't baby walk you through it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just pull out the paper, and you know you're angry. You know you're pissed off, as they say.
Right.
Pull that journal out, start writing.
Right. And I think that's a good way to express ourselves, especially for those who, like you said, Matt, don't really want to share where we are and what we're experiencing, and us then being the only ones that will be able to read the content. So that is a safe way to keep your notes, as well as be able to get your feelings out in front of you, so you can deal with them properly.
And can I say this real quick? Like, once you get something out, just like you wouldn't eat throw up, you know what I'm saying? Once you eat some food and you throw it up, you wouldn't eat it back. So when you journal and you getting all that stuff out, don't go back and read it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what
what's
it's
up.
for, a release. Yep.
All right, one thing.
Didn't have the guard on, and it just took.
Yeah.
Just had to keep going.
So you been good, man?
Been awesome, man.
Good,
Awesome,
man.
been
When your next play, man? Man, Ken was just talking about your next play.
awesome. We trying to get to Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to Atlanta in November. It look like it's gonna probably be January.
Okay.
But the hardest part about getting to Atlanta is just getting a venue.
Right.
You know, there's so much stuff going on in Atlanta. You know,
Right.
all the dates are filled up. You know, I'm trying to accommodate something that I will be able to be successful with.
Okay.
You know, I'm not trying to look for no 1,500 seat theater. That'd
Okay.
just be unrealistic. You know,
Something smaller.
yeah, 500, 600, maybe 7. You know,
Okay.
I'll even take a 300. But the thought of going out of there and putting your show on the road and you putting the money behind that, I think that speaks volumes in itself. You know, a lot of people they don't invest in themselves like that.
Right. So Mo, you got the rap thing going on,
Yeah.
and you got comedy night going on. This dude got everything going on, man. He got 17 jobs, man.
Man,
But good to have you on, Mo.
Thank you, bro.
Man, so glad for you guys to come and sit with me
appreciate it.
as we, create some dialogue. We got a very interesting topic. One of the last things that we talked about, let me pull it up here, when we were here, was wounded boys becoming broken men. And we were able to cover quite a bit of ground as it relates to that, because
So I think the first thing that is taken away is opportunity.
Right.
You know, once you start losing opportunity, you start saying, okay, are they the problem or am I the problem?
Right,
You know,
right.
and then that begins to reveal certain things that's been under our skin or has been emotionally attached to us that we didn't recognize that we actually had.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure you as a pastor, you as a man, didn't know that you had certain issues till you got to that with that certain woman, or
Right.
you went through that certain breakup, or you lost that certain thing that you once loved or you was invested in, or that project that you had. You know, I don't work good with people that do this. Why don't I work good with people? Well, man,
What's the root?
my mom never kind of communicated with me like that. They
Right.
never talked about business. They never laid down a foundation of, they just talked about other things, or they told me don't worry about that. That's not your issue. So I didn't understand how to, not mix business with pleasure, or how to mix business. A lot of things that come about from that. So I say opportunity.
missed opportunities. Man, what you say? And that's a good point, Mo.
Spit that question one more time.
The question is, how does a dysfunctional boyhood, childhood affect us becoming men?
So I think, in one aspect, you are who you are before you get to this earth. Period.
Right.
But I think in the black community, especially, we've been told, "Oh, little Charlie will grow out of that.
Right.
Little Chucky will grow out of that." Man, he just, things happen to everybody.
Right.
So being told that, and now little Charlie went from 5 years old being told, "Hey, you're gonna grow out of this." So now he 10 years old. Hey, I'm still thinking I'm going to grow out of this. I just got to keep living life.
Right.
So the older you get, the issues just mature along with you. So if you come from abuse, it don't even have to be physical abuse. It could be verbal abuse, emotional abuse, or some people wasn't never really abused. Like some people, it could be neglect, abandonment.
Right.
Some people was just left at home. I guess that is a form of abuse. People say, hey, every morning I woke up, I was left to fend for myself. I didn't know how I was going to get. I'm 10 years old. How I'm going to get my 3-year-old little brother to daycare, how I'm going to do this and stuff like that. So people look at things from a distorted way. So now when you forced to grow up, we'll take that scenario. When you forced to grow up like that, like in dysfunction, everything you put your eyes to, everything you do is going to flow from that. So now you're going to say, hey, when you see a fully functional family, hey, that's not right, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why your kids get all of this stuff?
Right.
Make them kids work for it. I had to. I was working when I was 10 years old. So it forms your mindset. And, how can I put this without rambling? I'll say if abuse was your issue, if neglect, everything you do is going to flow from that. How you look at life is no real clear-cut way to say it. Everything you do is just going to come from whatever you experience. Mm-hmm. And unless you get some actual help, whether it's spiritual, whether it's mental, emotional help, maybe you need to see a psychiatrist or a therapist growing up. That's the only way to combat your issues.
Right.
So
you say, Matt, being raised in a dysfunctional environment, everything about our life flows through that channel.
Mm-hmm.
And Mo, you said missed opportunities.
Yeah, I say missed opportunities.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. Because Mo touched on to it as well. Sometimes we don't know we're dysfunctional until certain moments expose where we are, and I do believe, like Matt said, when you're raised in dysfunction, dysfunction becomes your norm, and then you create a context that really houses that, and then you respond like you said. Those are great points. Okay, here's the second question.
I want to
go ahead,
expound on that because I think he said that I do rap battle.
Right.
And rap battle takes on a certain energy.
Okay.
Yep.
It takes on a certain look. It takes on a certain mentality that you deal with people.
Right.
And here you are, trying to expose these people to look at things differently.
Right.
When they're so accustomed to this.
Right.
So your way may be so uncomfortable with them that even if it's a right way, they don't even understand that it's right. Because they're so used to this and they've never been exposed to something else. So you're trying to help them, but they don't even know they're sick. That's why Harriet Tubman said I would have freed 1,000 more slaves if they only realized that they were actually slaves.
But it's amazing how people can come from the same, like you can take two brothers, came from the same home, they both was neglected and abandoned, they both suffered hunger, was beat, but one say, hey man, I'm messed up, I need help, but then another live life like he don't know what an issue exists. That goes back to what I say, you are who you are before you get here.
Right.
Because it's not to say, a lot of people know something is wrong, most people are just not surrounded by people that's going to tell them, hey, sit down and figure out what is wrong. But then what about those dysfunctional people that take that initiative to say, hey, something is wrong and this is what's wrong and I'm going to do something about it. But then they brother don't.
Right.
So we can't use that as an excuse, not saying, hey.
Some people get it, man. Some people get it. Well, a lot of people lose that opportunity because they don't understand it.
Right.
How can you take something from somebody if they never experienced it?
Right.
Like, you're not going to go to Disney World. Kid be like, I ain't never been to Disney World. Like, how do I know what it is? But if you've been to Disney World, and then somebody said, hey, we about to take this from you so you won't go to Disney World, be like, whoa, I'm not going to see Mickey. I'm not going to ride on the rides. Like, I need to tighten up. But we're offering something that nobody never been exposed to.
Right.
So how do they know it's a good thing that they're losing?
That's good.
And that's where we run into.
And then that was a good segue, a transition. Listen, if you just tuned in, we're talking about the evolution from boy to man. And Mo, that's a good point. I want to kind of use that as a transitional point. How do we evolve into the man that wasn't modeled in front of us? And Mo, you're touching on that when you said, how do they know? If dysfunction is their norm, how do they know what we're presenting to them is the right way or is the better way, if you will? And so the question is, how do you evolve into this particular man that you've never seen modeled in front of you?
Well, this is what I say. Something in us, like, we all created by God,
Right.
you know, and it's something in us from nature that, in a way, we know right from wrong. We know when something is off.
Right.
So it's just the matter, that's when that particular person and their makeup comes into play. Like, something does say, because you have a lot of people that have become great fathers that did not have that model.
Right.
Like, I know, you know, I grew up around, you know, certain things happening around women being abused or things like that. And some of my counterparts, cousins and stuff, went that route. But I knew it wasn't right.
Right.
We can't, you know, so it's like, I think something in you at some point is going to tell you.
Right.
We all have that something there.
Right.
Now, who's going to listen to that something
Right.
is based on that person's makeup. Because, again, if you're a hardhead, you were that before you got to this earth.
Right. Right. Right.
So, you know, so I feel it's just going to be something in you telling you, hey, this is not right. This is the path you probably want to be on. Now, it's more complicated than that. You need to start finding out who can help you along that path to leave that dysfunction. But then some people is going to say, hey, I'm just content with it. It is what it is.
Right. What you got, Mo?
I think this is where great parenting come in at.
Okay.
Because great parents try to eliminate mistakes that their children are supposed to make by knowledge and education.
Right.
You know, the saying is a lot of black people are not taught how to swim. They're thrown in the ocean, and if they make it out,
Right.
then they survive. You know,
Gotcha.
but we don't really know how to swim. We thrown in situations. We have to figure it out ourselves.
Right.
So great parenting, great education, and knowledge helps eliminate mistakes.
Right.
If not taught to us, we have to fall.
Right.
And that's where the testimonies come from. That's where the motivation inside of you come from, because of the mistakes that we made not knowing.
Right.
But there's no, and I'm not taking away from the innately, because we probably know, but people don't know how to listen to their internal self. But there's no way of knowing how to correct a mistake until you fall and suffer consequences. That's why I'm saying that losses,
Right.
you know, opportunity, you know, changes the mindset of a person. That's why we're here where we are. Either we listen, or we saw something be taken away from a friend or from ourselves that changed our mindset and our behavior. Speaking of my mom and my dad were both ministers, you know, but they wasn't affectionate.
Right.
You know, I didn't know how to be affectionate with a woman because I never saw it modeled at home.
Okay.
You know, I knew how to be sexual,
Right.
but not affectionate. You know, like embracing in front of
How
public.
did you skip over affection to be sexual?
Hey, man, listen, man.
Easy.
No, I'm just joking. Okay, I'm just joking.
That was a good one.
The way my game set up.
I'm joking.
No, I mean affectionate meaning like, you know, doing small things, rubbing their feet, grabbing their hand, or going on walks. You know what I'm saying? Doing things that's outside of being sexual in a bedroom. I lack that because I never saw my father and my mom do it. I never saw him come up and give her a big kiss, a big hug, or flirt with her around the house and play little games. You know,
Right.
I wasn't exposed to that. So how do I know how to do that? You know, growing up, I felt like you're supposed to channel that emotion and act tough when you're around women, not expose yourself.
What
Right.
about, like, we always got other people that's playing a role in our life, though. Because what about those people that didn't have that either, but they knew to do it?
Right.
And they end up doing it.
I'm just saying from my
No,
perspective,
I
my
understand.
perspective.
Like, but do you agree that even though it may not be modeled in the home, we have, like, maybe aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, family?
It could be, well, yeah, but I didn't.
You didn't really?
Yeah, it
I
could be
got you.
flipped.
I
But
got you.
some people, since they don't get it at home, they didn't see it, they try to go find it, and
Right.
it go the wrong way. But for
Gotcha.
me, you know, that was something that I didn't know how. You know, I just saw the reverse role until I think my stepfather.
Right.
You know, when I came home from college, and I saw like he demanded that from my mom.
Right.
He demanded like we're going on walks, we're going to walk the dogs together, like kissing. I'm like, man, this feels weird. It feels weird because when you don't see your mom and dad interacting the correct way,
Right.
Gotcha.
that hurts you developmentally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know really, because that is your biggest teacher. Like you spend more time learning from our mom and the people around us
Right.
than we do from anything else.
And Mo talked about,
good.
just correct parenting as it relates to helping us be what to help, nurture and grow us. I know if we don't learn it in the home, the culture is going to teach it to us.
Yeah.
So, if affection is not being displayed, like Mo said, and I kind of came up in the same scenario. When it's not being displayed at the house, oftentimes we learn it from our friends,
Yeah.
or we learn it from
And it's different. Yeah.
TV, or that's a major influence on how it is that we adjust and grow when we're not getting it in the house. And so that, Mo, you got some transitional points, man. So here's another
Because
question.
that's what that lost opportunity and everything else plays in the fact of how you develop.
And then also it depends on the person too, because that may not be the case in your home. Like for me, I've seen many men break my mother's heart.
Right.
Many men. Actually she had 3 in particular, but that's many to me.
Right.
Broke engagements and all that stuff. But I was also always around people at church with healthy relationships.
Okay.
And I had, my grandmother
Right.
had a healthy relationship with her guy. So I had other points of people that I spent equal time
Let
with.
me ask you
So
a question. How did you know to pay attention to it?
that's one of those you can't. Being an observant person.
Because you don't even know if it's healthy or not.
Right.
So being an observant person, but that goes back to the person. Our makeup, God could have wired me where that could have been one of those innately things.
Right.
In me.
Right.
That something, that knowing that comes upon, like, man, I don't know how I know it, but I just know.
Right.
That's in us when we a child.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But what we do know, I know it wasn't healthy for my mama to be crying.
Right.
So when I see her crying, you know what I'm saying, this guy leave and I see her crying, I know that ain't healthy.
Right.
But I do know when I see my aunt getting hugged and kissed and hand rubbed on, and I'm going with her and her boyfriend, they taking walks, taking me, I know that feels good and that looks good.
Right.
So I know, hey, something wrong, mom crying.
Right.
But I know, hey, something, what is going on with auntie? And she happy, she smiling, but mom crying.
Right.
So I'm like, I think I want to stay away from that. So it just depends on.
So you said observation.
Observation.
Okay, and I totally agree, because and we're gonna transition from this. I didn't get it as well. My testimony is kind of similar to Mo. I didn't get it as well, but when I seen it, I knew it was something different about it.
Okay.
And although it didn't look normal, it kind of the functional looked dysfunctional to me. I knew it was something good about it. And so when my dad got remarried, there was something special about their relationship that made me desire that. And so before that, I didn't know. But it was me observing, and then the light kind of came on. So man, that was a definitely good point. Now let's kind of switch as it relates. I try to touch on just the whole culture being influential when it comes to us becoming, from this whole evolution process from boy becoming man, how the culture plays a part. And so how do we break the cultural norm from a negative perspective and become men that are impactful in society? How do we break the cultural norm? We are labeled, I don't want to make this a social issue, but oftentimes as African American men, we are labeled. And sometimes society labels us to be a certain way. Either we're going to be dead or we're going to be in jail. And so how do we break these cultural norms, these cultural opinions, these cultural biases, and become impactful men in society? And so, with raising sons and raising guys who we mentor, how do we break this cultural norm and teach them and become great men in society?
Man, that's
right up his alley.
That's a heavy question, Balo.
Yeah.
Because it's so much psychological damage has been done to us through generations,
right.
And has been poured through our family bloodline, and that we are gravitating to, and that we have to deal with those issues.
Right.
I deal with young men almost every day, and I think 2 weeks ago I talked to a group of kids that was 12 to 18 that got in trouble with the law.
Okay.
It was upper bound, and they came to the school, and they wanted us to talk to them about careers.
Okay.
And everybody businessmen. I want to be a businessman, or I want to be a rapper.
Absolutely.
So I think we're so damaged financially that we look for the only big break that we think that we can actually achieve.
Right.
We want everything quick. That's our generation now, instant.
Right.
How social media,
Microwave.
everything instant. Yeah. No one wants to put in the work. No one wants to put in 4 years, 8 years, 6 years in school. I mean, commend my cousin. he went back to that journey, and it's not a hard journey because you got to have a purpose and a vision to accomplish what you're doing, and knowing how to use that what you're going to accomplish. These kids can't see past tomorrow. They want money now, and this is the quickest way I do it. And I put all my energy to that, and if that fails, I don't have no plan B. But how do you get to them? Is you have to educate and reach them where the level that they at. You know, I had to break down the history of who they are. You know, I showed them that it was 1,600 more blacks were killed in the last 2 years than from 1868 to through the whole civil. I forgot that. It was from 1868 to 1925 or something like that.
Okay.
You know, when all the lynching was going on, we killed more blacks than a 30-year time span when we were legally could kill us. You know what I'm saying? Then I showed them that it was 256 blacks were killed by cops, and only 32 were unarmed. Right? And then I showed them that how many people died in Chicago in a week. You know, in a month. You know what I'm saying? So we're killing ourselves, but how society has it is we're fighting everybody else, but not dealing with our own issue of correction of ourselves in our community. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody else's fault.
What we're doing, we're playing a blame game. As you see, we will place the blame on somebody else all the time when it comes to our people, versus taking responsibility that we're hurting. And they'll say, "Oh, these people are hurting too." Well, I'm not worrying about them. I'm worrying about fixing us. This Jewish kid came in my in the career center, and kosher. Y'all ever heard of kosher? It's like a Jewish thing, kosher. Okay. They only eat, drink.
What's
certain type of food.
Yeah.
But it's kind of their tradition. They don't shop with us. They shop with them. They don't communicate really with us unless they have to. But their whole culture is building their culture.
Okay.
We don't have that. You know what I'm saying? How long does
individualistic?
How long does the dollar bill stay in the black community? 6 hours. You know, versus 12 days for the white community, 18 days for the Jewish community, 6 days for the Hispanic community, but 6 hours for us. That we can't even see our money monopolized. So if you cannot monopolize your money in your own community, how do you give your kids values to even want to stay in the community? And what's the first thing we hear when we get rich? We need to get out the what? The hood. So that means that devalues where you stay at.
So Mo, you touching on educating them. We have to be educated. In order to break the cultural norms, they have to be, and you touched on history and how history played a part in the shaping of our mentality and our perspective. And so Matt, what you say? How do we break the cultural norm from a negative perspective and become men? No, you good, man. And become men and impactful men in society.
So I think the first thing, I may start with yourself. Okay. So you know something is going on with you. You know something ain't right with you. You can't help nobody else. You can't educate nobody else. You can't pour into nobody else. You can't enlighten nobody else until you dig through those layers of what's been driving you. You know what I'm saying? That may, as men, we done had many life experiences. That may take you going to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor, working on yourself for a year. Because what you don't want to do is be that person that haven't sorted out your own baggage, but you're trying to help everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So what I would say is everybody start with yourself. Get your issues sorted out. Because like the Bible say, that's blind leading the blind if I'm trying to help you and I haven't even really helped myself. So I guess it is a point, but I'm going to start at the self-educating point. Hey, I know what my issue is. How do I get past this so then I could, after I sort my baggage out, I can go help somebody else that might be dealing with the same thing. So it starts there. If everybody take that mindset of let me deal with my own self, get my stuff sorted out before I try to put my hand in the affairs of other people's lives, I believe that's where it starts at. But before we can do that for the kids, the grown men, the fathers and the grandfathers and the uncles got to do that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because how we going to teach them how to properly process pain and grief and how not to let it drive them in life if it's still driving us? You know what I'm saying? So it starts with self-educating, getting over your baggage, and time don't matter. And I want to say this, don't matter how much time go by, if you ain't dealt with your stuff in a healthy way and become healed and whole, it's still there, man. No matter 20 years can pass, it's still
true.
there.
That's true.
And then the other side of that is too, teaching people, man, taking them back, educating. Hey, we were a community at one point in time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Everything is individualistic now. Crabs in the bucket. I got to get mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I got $1 back in Martin Luther King, I give Spry 50 cents, and I keep 50 cents. Now, no, man, you better go get your own.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because why? That goes back to everything is in such a limited amount, limited finances, limited resources. So now when you get your hand on something, I got to keep this for myself.
Right.
And like you said, when you get your hand on some money, it's been 6 hours for $1 to leave our hand.
Right.
We don't think to say, hey, let me stick 50. I'm just using the
We're going right to McDonald's.
Come on now, for real.
We're going right to the mall.
We don't think to put 50 cents up, hey, let me keep a quarter here and let me go buy something with this quarter. I use that symbolically to say we don't, but that goes back to why? That mindset of, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm already at a deficit, so when I get my hands on something, I'm not going to think about long term. I'm going to think about what I need right then and there.
Right.
But that goes back to everything, even how you spend money, is driven by pain, sorrow, baggage that you're still carrying.
Right.
A healthy and whole person ain't going to operate like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A healthy and whole person ought to be a good steward.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So everything drives you. So if you don't spend money wisely, you don't do wise with,
Right.
something is driving you. That goes back to, hey, sorting your baggage out.
Right. And so it's a self-evaluation thing. And that's good. That's good. If you guys are just tuning in, once again, we're talking about the evolution from boy to man, getting down to what does that process look like, some experiences that we've had that has taught us and grow us as men, whether it's negative or positive. So we want to just kind of get down to it. I want to kind of dive into, this is kind of somewhat of a taboo topic, or I would say a sensitive, or not topic, but question. Do you think, can a boy or a young man be raised by a woman and become a strong man?
Hey, let me take that one first, Mo.
I knew you was going.
I'm an example. I'm an example.
Say that one more time.
So the question is, can a boy become a man, become a strong man, being raised by a woman?
All right. So I'm gonna kick this off
Go ahead.
because I was raised.
I knew you was gonna be able.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a strong man. My mother taught me, I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't exaggerate. I'm not an exaggerating person. Mom taught me 99% of what it means to be a man.
Okay.
From how to take care on the spiritual side first,
Right.
because I was raised in a Christian home.
Right.
Taught me how to be God-fearing, and told me about what faith is about.
And ladies, he's single. You single?
Well,
Oh, okay.
no, I'm
Well,
no.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, my lady.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss. I'm sorry.
I ain't married, but I ain't single, so
My bad.
that's all right.
Jumping the gun.
But she taught me how to pay bills, how to handle responsibility. The one thing I appreciate about her, she told me, don't depend on nobody else.
Okay.
She said, not even me, even when I was 10 years old.
Right.
She showed me, hey, this is how you earn your own. You're going to start working. You're going to start doing this. She taught me how to take care of women, how to be a respectful person, how to present myself, how to dress the right way,
Right.
how to talk to people in negotiation,
Right.
how to handle contracts, how to handle $1. She said the only thing she couldn't really teach me is when it came to those intersexual things. She said she can only give me a side of it,
Okay.
as being a human person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where uncles and some of the guys at church came in.
Right.
But 99% of the stuff, man, I'm not she taught me how to, how can I say this? Be a strong man, but not be overly sensitive, but be in tune with your emotions.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? So she shaped me real good. So speaking for me, I only had my mother literally, and I still really only got her.
Y'all see it.
And I only got here and there, maybe a Bible study when I was around the pastors, and sometime when I went over my uncle's and them house. So all my rearing, everything I know about life came from my mother. So I know it to be true. They can.
Yeah.
But every woman ain't built like that. It goes back to your makeup as a person.
Right.
So if that woman ain't built like that,
Yeah.
you know she can't. Because we know some women that's trained up suckers and punks.
Oh,
Sorry.
boy.
Go ahead.
What you say, Mo?
I wish I can find this quote in my mind because I should have. If you would have sent me these questions earlier, I could have probably came up with a quote.
That's what make conversation
Not,
better.
not a quote, but it was talking about the chemicals that was released from a man raising a man and a man raising a woman. I think somebody wrote a whole article on that, and how the difference is when a man raises the daughter and the son versus when a woman raises the daughter and the son. You know, it's a total big difference psychologically. Now, not saying that you came out wrong, but it's the sample size,
right,
you know, show differently. Now, can a woman raise a man to be? Absolutely. That, I mean, we have countless stories of it, but I think those men do miss out, you know, on certain things that men bring to the table.
Okay.
I don't think one woman can raise a man without without that kid having a man in his life.
True.
I don't know if you don't have coaches. I don't know.
That uncles. Remember, I said my uncles, the pastors and preachers at the church.
I don't think a woman can do it by herself, because it just don't. When a boy start developing to a young man,
right,
it's just some things they just cannot adapt to. They just don't sit down. What you doing? That manly voice changes the difference of a man communication with another man. You know, even with working with Shiloh. You know, I see my presence change him for when he's with his dealings with women. You know, it's just different. You know, but can you still be successful? Absolutely.
Yeah. And be a healthy individual.
Absolutely. You know, but I do think they miss those essential things about, you know, that boy talk, you know, sexual talks and stuff. But then again, if you have support, you can get that. But if a man is in a house and he's raising his son, you know the difference. Just like you know the difference when it's a two-parent household when you're talking to a girl.
Right.
You know the difference, because she's not requesting love from you, because her daddy love her.
Right.
And she'll show you that her daddy love you, that you ain't gonna do me wrong because I got a daddy, you know. So our approach has to be different when you talk to a girl from a two-parent household,
right,
you know, whose dad is active in the life. Oh, that's a big difference of how you communicate. The other one is more vulnerable.
Right.
They're more open. They're looking for that. They're looking for that family, looking for something that they never had, versus the ones that you can't tell me nothing unless you come completely correct, you know. So,
but that's good though. But it goes also back to the self-analysis thing, because you have some active fathers in the home, but if they broke in themselves, man, even being a good father, they still bleeding on their kids.
I get that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So then, even being, hey, my father was there, my father helped me with homework and took time out, but he was bleeding on you at the same time because he had some stuff.
It's going to always be that one situation, or one couple of situations. No,
I ain't talking about. I'm talking about some heavy situations from people. I'm not talking about light stuff, like, because when you don't sort your stuff out, like I said, so much time can go by. You think you're moving past it, but you're not, man.
Right.
Because you mixing the wheat with the tares.
Right.
Whenever you don't, and we ain't talking about light situations like, hey, you know, your mother used to pop you upside your head or something. We talking about, you know.
They said talk about the masculinity of
what? The masculinity what?
of the women raising the men. Are these young boys are more
Feminine?
come out more feminine, or have a bigger issue?
Look at the women these days.
What Matt to me is one of the and it's no knock, and I'm no way am I being judgmental. Matt is a success story, being raised by his mom. So I don't think, seeing a testimony, I don't think it all the time affects the masculinity of a young man. And like you said, Mo, if we got those influences, those mentors, male mentors, they can kind of shape the masculinity, or help them avoid being more feminine than masculine.
Gotcha.
And so I think that's not always the case, that it affects the masculinity. But there are situations where being raised by a woman where the masculinity is affected.
Man, you see it in football. You see it in football when a kid takes a hit. You know.
Oh, my mother didn't do that though, Mo.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like what I'm seeing now.
I got you.
They take a hit.
Screaming. Yep.
You got to stop the mamas from going out there. And it's usually the men like, hey, no, let them learn how to get up.
Right.
What about those fathers that do that?
Yeah, you know.
I done seen a couple of them. You like, hey man, what you doing, man? Leave your son, he good.
Yeah.
my boy's playing football,
right.
and definitely I'm not acting like his mom would act, but you don't want him to get hurt. But at the same time, like Mo said, you got to teach him how to be strong. Like, hey, get up.
Come with the sport. You got to learn how to take a hit.
But see, that goes back to like the whole masculinity. Now, that's a situation we have with fathers. That only thing most fathers know how to do is give their kids discipline, give their kids instruction, and provide.
Right.
God does more than that for us. He nurtures, he comforts, he holds us in a sense. So why do we think that's a not a masculine thing to do for our sons? If your 3-year-old son come and want to sit on your lap and daddy want to watch football, no, boy, you sit right here on there. Or daddy, give me a kiss. No, I ain't give. And you punch him in the arm or something, like, you got to be tough.
No.
No, I'm just asking. That's open conversation.
I think, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's just take away social media.
Right.
Let's take away all this technology and put us in the wilderness.
Right.
Our natural innate is to be able to survive and hunt and to be dominant. You know what I'm saying?
As men.
As men.
Right.
So this is just something that handicaps us from being in our natural habitat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't supposed to have technology. We wasn't born with technology. Technology is afforded to us to make our lives easier.
Right.
But we supposed to be hunters. We supposed to be caretakers. We supposed to be all of this, and we need muscles and strength to handle that in case somebody tries to invade our territory. That's just the nature of men. Am I incorrect with that?
No, you're
so
right.
now we're just living in social media and stuff, so they're teaching you, you don't have to be as tough now. You know, it's just like putting a wild lion in a cage, you know, and telling them like, oh yeah, you don't have to real feed you every day. But that's not its real natural habitat. Our natural habitat is to be, you know, tough and a protector.
So what's your thing on affection towards sons? We do it for daughters. And real quick, let me give you a
I love affection for sons.
Let me get
love that.
Like so it's not awkward for you if your son's like, Dad, give me a kiss. He kiss you on your jaw or something. I done seen fathers like, man, don't you kiss me? Like, that's your son though.
Well, I was raised by my dad, right?
Right.
That was a no-no. And I know culture kind of is responsible for how fathers respond to sons because they were taught to be masculine, like most say hunters and aggressive, and then they portrayed that same type of conduct onto their sons. I remember I actually watched my sisters kiss my dad. I was like 5 years old. I went up to kiss him. Boy, watch out. And so what's funny, I'm like that with my sons. I love them all day. I support them. You know, I'm affectionate, but that mushy stuff, because I was raised in a context that where it wasn't shown, that's not second nature for me. And so not saying that I'm right, but oftentimes our context kind of shapes how we respond to our children, especially sons. I try to figure out ways to be more affectionate to my sons without getting mushy, which I need to work on.
And it depends on the person.
Right.
So it depends, and it doesn't mean it's what's good for you.
Right.
It's what works for me. I'm just I'm not an overly affectionate person, but I believe that's a part that's missing because even thinking about the nature of God, like he's not just this hard person,
Right.
like this hard spirit being. Like, you know, there's a compassionate, a sensitive side, and that's the problem. He created us, so even being hunters and stuff, we all still have emotions.
Right.
We have pain, we have sorrow, we have, you know. So I just think, you know, what's good for you. Well, they give a good question.
Yeah, she said we need to. Well, I think masculinity. The question was we need to define what masculinity is. I mean, it's a broad, kind of broad question.
You started off.
For me, masculinity is based upon. I can only verbalize masculinity from how I was raised.
Okay.
It was being tough. It was being aggressive. It was being non-affectionate. It was being not tapping into my emotional side. It was holding in pain and hurt and being masculine on the outside while deteriorating on the inside. But that's how masculinity was modeled in front of me. Okay. And so when I figured out I was broken, you know what I mean, on the inside, it made me uncomfortable to tap in. So masculinity was defined by the context in which I was raised. And we got 9 minutes.
Okay, let's do it.
You go ahead.
No, because I think for me, like, masculinity, it's funny, man, because I guess, okay, this is the Man Cave Show. The way you walk, man, you can't have no switch, like, the way you walk counts, man.
Right,
the way you body positioning and stuff like that, you know, or even how you respond when somebody disrespects you. Like, you can tell a masculine person versus a emasculine person. So it's just subtle cues, whether it's body language, gestures, and facial expressions. Like, somebody, I disrespect Mo, he like, why you do that, man? You be like, man, that's not masculine. I'm sorry, I'm just being
No.
humorous. But if it's like I disrespect him, hey man, who you talking to?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, So it's just
now I want to tackle it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think in this day and time, as long as you're able to handle your business and do what you're supposed to do as an individual, you know what I'm saying, whether you're female or male, then you handle yours. Now imitating something that is, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, Bobby? Imitating something that is not a natural movement, maybe taking on a form that's probably not you. You may have accepted it to be you, but it's probably not in the nature of why you were created. But I mean, we neither here nor there. We're not biologists, you know what I'm saying? So that's a touchy subject. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So nowadays they make it so sensitive that you can't really speak on what the definition, because they always ask you why. Why is that? Why is that not masculine? Why? And every time you ask why, it leads to another why. Right. So too many whys never get answered. Right. So you got to come to a conclusion. This is what we came up with, but it doesn't necessarily say it's right.
I think it's being redefined with how culture is shifting. I think masculinity is being definitely redefined, and that's a whole nother.
That goes back.
I need to go to man cave. You need to do some research.
We need to. That's a whole nother. But we got 7 minutes, and this is definitely a good question that needs to be elaborated. Let me ask you a question. Let's and we got 7 minutes. Frederick Douglass, one of my favorite quotes. He says it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Oof. It's easier to build strong children. Than to repair broken men. What do you guys think about that? It's easier to cultivate and create strong children than it is to fix a broken man. What do you guys think about
it? It's easier to have a freshman buy into your workout program than a senior. Right. Because the seniors probably already stuck in their own ways and they're ready to get out. Right. A man is kind of stuck in their own ways and there's no more room for growth for them. Right. But a children's like a sponge, you know what I'm saying? They take in a lot of stuff and they have room to make mistakes and change. A man is kind of at that point, like, I already know my life is not going to change too much from here. Right. So my job is to just go ahead and live my life and carry it out how it is. But for a kid, they have a future, and I think that's what Frederick Douglass was probably actually saying. Right. And you can look at it in sports. How you gonna change? Imagine going to the league and telling Tom Brady that he need to change up the way he throws.
Oh man, I got you. That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. New England come get a new coach. He's like, Tom Brady, whatever you've been doing, this is gonna make you better. Right.
Right.
Like he's not gonna do it. But tell a rookie that. Tell a rookie who just won the Heisman coming in the league the first year, and you give him correction. Right. Who is more likely to take that correction?
Yeah. Good point.
So that's probably.
I think process improvement. I'm a process improvement person. That's another one thing I do. So I think it's easier to go back to the root and stop stuff from happening. So if you produce hubcaps and like the last batch of 500 been having dents in them, instead of going to take them through another machine, taking the dents out, once you start finding out what's putting the dents in the hubcap, so you can correct that issue, so you don't have to keep trying to play catch up. So it is true. Right. You catch them when they're young. You can always rear and mold clay, just like with concrete. Right. When you first pour it, you can start shifting it in the way you want to go. But if you let it dry and you try to move concrete, it ain't going nowhere. That's the same thing, the analogy he used with Tom Brady versus a rookie that just won a Heisman. So, of course, you want to catch them when they're young, the pliable stage, the stage when they still soaking stuff in. Because I feel just,
Or want to grow.
Or want to grow, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because some people, we may say is stuck in their ways, they encounter the right person, encounter more, encounter Pastor Spry and me, and they be like, hey, man, you made me think of something a different way. Right. So now I want to grow. But more often than not, you better catch and win in the developmental years.
Right. And that's good. I definitely love that quote by Frederick Douglass. That is a good one. Because children are definitely a little more flexible than it is having a grown adult who's kind of already shaped a certain way. But when we talk about evolving into a man, if we don't train up our sons and train up kids we're mentoring to become strong men, then there'll be a problem in society than of course than being a benefit. And so I think it's very important that we understand, like when God places people in our path, preferably young guys and young kids, that we be an example, that we show them how to become strong men, how to become, and then breaking those cultural norms, and then breaking those things that we've been taught that kind of affected us from a negative perspective growing up. And so I think it's very important that we become a voice, those of us who are influential. Matt, you got you have your thing going on with your Detox and then with your journaling initiative. Mo, of course, a community activist. I think we ought to engage more so we can definitely be a benefit. Look, it's 5:57. Any last words you guys want to say before we conclude the show?
Hey, keep up the good work.
Yeah, man, this is good. This is the first time I did something like this, so this is wonderful.
You keep pressing, you know what I'm saying? You create that avenue so we can have these tough conversations, and don't be afraid to tackle these tough conversations.
Oh, we're going to tackle them, man.
Yeah. Keep growing, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Same, man. This is good. Thank you for having me. And one last thing I wanted to just real quick mention, we always going to go and teaching men how to be strong men, how to be providers, how to look for a job, how to pay bills. Mm-hmm. But we need to also have men that's educated in the psych world, that's in therapy and counselors, because people are, how am I going to be a good father? How am I going to go out and get a good job and know how to provide and take care of my family if I'm carrying all this baggage and I don't know how to get rid of it?
Right.
Or my issues are so deep. So we need people that's going to tackle the inside issues. So at some of these men conferences that people be having, instead of having finances and get your credit straight and how to be a good dad and how to be a good this, we need to have some people there that's helping folks with these issues that they got going on inside. That's
Absolutely. And that's major. Knowing our internal proclivities is a major thing that we need to learn how to tap into, especially as men. Because once again, we need to put a voice to what's happening on the inside and stop suppressing it, stop repressing it, and really address it so then we can be whole and be healed, and we can be a blessing to those that are around us. Hey, man, this was an amazing show. It's 5:59. Sometimes I hate that this show is only an hour. We surely had more questions to ask, a lot of content to go over.
Nice talking with you, man.
But next time, you guys tune in. Next time, we'll definitely continue this conversation with men. Thank you for tuning in. And
thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And you guys are invited back anytime
Pastor
you want.
Reverend Bible, Bishop Bible.
This guy. Anytime you guys want to come back and join the show, you guys are welcome. Look, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, you guys be blessed.
Peace out.